Hey guys, Dr. MJ here. I decided to do this little project on the side because, why not? I'm going to do something called What I Like to Run for Each Weapon. I'll be doing Splatoon 2 first, then I'll be moving to Splatoon 1, which is over here. And I'll split this into multiple parts because I don't want this to be one giant video. So we'll start with shooters and then we'll move on. Anyway, we'll start with the vanilla Splash-O-Matic. Now, I could just upload gameplay footage from me, but I think this is much quicker than what I'm using. I'm on loadout.inc. However, this is only updated to version 4.8 of Splatoon 2. As of this recording, we are on current version 5.5.0 of Splatoon 2. So anyways, let's get started. Oh, and this is based off of a turf war perspective. I could do rank sets, but I'm not... I mean, I am in a competitive team, but we haven't found any tournaments yet. We will someday. Anyways, vanilla Sploosh. Let's get started, finally. See, for me, I like to run a Ninja Squid set. And I'll show you my setup that I use. And I'll try to explain why I picked these sets. First of all, swim speed. That's very obvious for a Sploosh. Of course, because you want to be mobile. Ninja Squid. This is one of the few weapons that really benefit from Ninja Squid, even because you can get really up close and personal with barely being noticed. Also, I am a bit faster, but not by much. I know Ninja Squid reduces your swim speed, but look right here. It actually gets like a 1.1% increase. The bottom offensive DX is perfect for this. You always want one sub of bottom offensive DX for most weapons. Mainly because it can prevent so many things from working. Here's an example. Alright, you know the Soda Slosher has splat bombs and burst bomb launcher, right? Anyway, so a Slosher's direct does 70 damage. A splat bomb indirect does 30. Bottom offensive DX can reduce the damage from 30 for indirect to around 28. So therefore, this will prevent it from working. This will prevent it from killing. Another best example is when ink armor is active. Say you took an indirect from a splat bomb or a suction bomb with ink armor with one cell of offensive DX. The armor will not break, meaning you will still have your armor, which is good. Now honestly, one main of ink resist is a lot, which is why as an alternative, I could sacrifice some ink resist and be a little bit faster. But yeah, making myself the second fastest Ninja Squid. Now, I have 16 chunks in the game, and I need 30 to maximize this. So therefore, I can make it a 3% increase. But as of right now, this is my set. Where's the ink resist? Here we go. I'll try to get through this as soon as possible, but trust me, there's a lot I want to explain. I just want to do this for fun, like help some people out. Anyway, Neo Sploosh. Now, this set is honestly a gimmick, but I think it's a fun one. I want to be called the Rat, and you'll see why once I'm done with this. $131 points for missiles, and this thing costs $170. So therefore, I call this set the Rat. Just spam missiles throughout the entire match. Max special charge can increase the special charge effect by 30%. Excuse me, that was a hiccup. Anyway, now to Sploosh 7, which is probably the best version of the Sploosh. While the vanilla Sploosh is probably the worst. I like to use the same one as the old set, as the vanilla Sploosh and Ninja Squid set. Now for Rainmaker, I have a different set, which I will go over. Excuse me. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say this earlier. Happy Halloween. Because it's currently October 31st, 2021 at the time of recording. Where is my... Oh my god, I really am blind. Anyway, this is one set. Or another alternative. And dang, it doesn't work like that. Oh well. I could do this. And then for Rainmaker, I could add Object Shredder to the mix. Rainmaker. Object Shredder. Therefore, you'll be an absolute terror in Rainmaker. And besides, Sploosh has really good DPS to the barrier, and so does Ultra Stam. Splat Bombs are pretty good as well. And now we're on to the first weapon you get in the game, and also the best version of the 3 juniors, the Vanilla Junior. Fortunately, I can't reset it. Anyway, I like to run this set the most. I like to run Special Saver and Charge, and a double Auto Bomb, and a double Splat Bomb set. 3 subs, I can reduce it to below 170. Making it pretty cheap. And of course, you can't go wrong with Sub Saver. You need 2 mains and 1 sub of Ink Saver sub to throw 2 auto bombs. I mean splat bombs. Oh my god, I can't talk. Therefore, this is a good set. I like this set a lot, and this one really benefits me. It can't be double bombs. Now for the Custom Junior, which might be the worst out of the 3 juniors, in my opinion, but it's still pretty decent in my opinion. They're not bad, but the Custom Junior is probably the worst. Now I have a really brutal set. I call this Auto Bomb and Ink Storm Hell. This is a good time to mention Last Ditch Effort, as this will probably be this is the first time I'm going over it. Well, I've explained it to some other people, but I just want to give a full in-depth analysis. But anyway, this may be a bit unorthodox, but I'm going something called Ink Storm Spam. It costs 160, and with 1 main and 3 subs, I can reduce it to below 140. Now, Last Ditch Effort in Turf War will always activate during the last 30 seconds. But in ranked battles, it also works every time you are losing, making it one of the best abilities in the entire game. Anyway, oh yeah, let me show the effects. It starts to take effect when it's at 50, and as I slide the meter down, pay attention to the ink recovery speed and the ink consumption of your main and sub. It reaches its max effects when the opponent's team reaches 30 or below, and it will stay that way for the rest of the entire game, even during overtime. So yeah, Last Ditch Effort is a really good ability. It's right up there with main power-up as well, but only certain weapons with main power-up. And with max Last Ditch Effort during the last 30 seconds of a Turf War, or last 30 seconds of the match in Ranked, and during overtime in Ranked, or when you are losing by 30 or more, you get all these benefits. It takes about just under 6 seconds to recover ink in kid form, and just about 2 seconds in squid form. The ink consumption is really good. And Ink Saver sub allows me to throw 2. However, stack as much Ink Saver sub as you want, but you will not be able to throw 3, which sucks. Now for the Kinsey Jr. Remember how I said this is only updated to version 4.8 of Splatoon 2? Yeah, we're on current version 5.5, and now this thing costs 190 instead of 200. Anyway, because it's a weird kid, it pretty much has to rely on Bubble Board to do well. But anyway, I do have a set for this. Saver. Sub Saver, special power up, obviously, for bubbles. And you have to run Object Shredder for this to work. And of course, I have the big 3 right here. Now, 1 sub a quick super jump is great, because it gets about a 10% increase in squid form and about a 9.5% in kid form. I mean, 1 sub is perfect. You can almost always get away. 1 sub of ink resistance is just a good 2. It actually gives you invulnerability frames with 1 sub. You know how you touch enemy ink without ink resist and you'll take damage? With ink resist, with 1 sub, you can delay damage by touching enemy ink by 10 frames, which is really good. 2 subs can be alright, but I would not recommend more than 1. Because, come on, it's perfect. Now we're moving on to Splash-O-Matics, which is probably one of my favorite shooters of all time. The sheer accuracy of its shots. So good. Anyway. Alright. Here I like to run a main power-up and drop roller set. For most weapons, I almost always run drop roller with inkjet weapons. With the exception of the Gluga Dualies and end parry dualies. Your dodge rolls can do that for you. There, this is perfect. This is literally a perfect set. And 3 subs of quick super jump makes me get back to the action even quicker and make getaways even more possible. Oh, here's the thing about drop roller. Once you roll with drop roller, it'll actually give you a boost in run speed, swim speed, and ink resist by 1 main for 3 seconds after rolling. Here's the effects. Pay attention to the run speed and swim speed. You also get ink resist as well by 1 main for 3 seconds after rolling, just a repeat. Now for the Neo, I have 2 sets. The Slayer set and the Support set, which I'll be showing both of them off here. Here, this is the Slayer set, obviously focusing on main power-up and swim speed, which is obviously really good. I could run Ninja Squid, but I'm giving up a little bit of main power-up for that. Anyway, now it's time for the Support set. The Neo Splash still costs 210 to this day. And with 1 main and 3 subs, I can reduce it to just a special charge. I can reduce it to just above 180. Hold on a second. Here it is. Inksaber sub with ink recovery to throw more burst bombs. This is basically a more support set. This is a more supportive set. Now for the arrow sprays, which are one of my favorite weapons. It's really good in Turf War, and not much else. You do see them occasionally in Splat Zones, and I think this one has a really weird niche in Rainmaker due to a set, but I'll go over that one as well. But anyway, this is the starting set. Usually I like to run swim speed to get away. Or as an alternative, because this thing does very low damage, you could run Object Shredder to one-shot ink armor, beacons, and sprinklers. Or you can even throw more suction bombs if you want. There's a lot of options I can go for, but this one is my favorite. And it costs 160, and I can reduce it to just below 140, which means I'll get Curly Bomb Rush all the time. Now for the RG. I think I only have 1 set for this. Sprinklers are not really good in this game. They were alright in the first game, but they got neutered in the second. So I pretty much have to run this. Fun fact, Object Shredder with Baller, if you land a direct hit with Booyah Bomb Armor, with Object Shredder with Baller, then you can actually one-shot Booyah Bomb Armor. I hope that made sense, because I'm trying here. Yeah. And then finally, the Aerospray PG, which is probably my favorite weapon in the game. It costs 190, and it still does today. So I can reduce it to below 165. So below 170. Anyway, this could also work, or I could throw even more burst bombs, which is usually what I prefer. Now we're moving on to the Splatter Shots. And just an FYI, for the heroes, for the hero replicas and the Octo Shot, they all use the same set as their original counterparts, so I won't be going over them much. But anyway, now onto the original Splatter Shot. Anyways, it no longer costs 180. It costs 170 now. Again, this is outdated. What do I like to run on it? Well, I like to run this set. Now it's time for me to explain Comeback with quick respawn. And this is the first time introducing Stealth Jump with quick respawn as well. Now, Comeback will actually give you... Comeback will only work if you get splatted, and once you respawn, it'll give you the equivalent of 1 main of Run Speed, Swim Speed, Inksaber Main, Inksaber Sub, Ink Recovery, and Special Charge for 20 seconds after respawning. So yeah, this makes it really good. Not really good, but really, it's nice. It's just a nice ability. Now on to Stealth Jump. Stealth Jump works a bit differently in Splatoon 2 than it does in Splatoon 1, which I'll get into later. But in Splatoon 2, it only works if you're a certain distance away from the enemy. But it doesn't lower your super jump speed, which is nice. Now on to the T-Tech, which no longer costs 210, it costs 220. Sorry, not 220, 200. Anyway, this is roughly the same, except I like to run Drop Roller because it is an inkjet weapon. And unfortunately, this is not finalized, so I have this instead. Oh yeah, Special Saber is really good as well. I forgot to mention, this is the big 4. But technically with all this, I have the big 5 right here. Ink Recovery is probably the least common out of all of them. While Bond Defense Up is probably the most common. Special Saber is okay. I mean, it's not as good as the others. But notice how much Special Saber I saved. It's 20%. With 3 mains and 9 subs of Special Saber in this game, you will not lose any special. The only way you can lose special is if you're affected by Respawn Punisher or Haunt. Now on to the K-Shot, which is another really popular weapon. Instead, I don't like to use Comeback or Quick Respawn because missiles can give you a lot of assists. Instead, I like to run this combo. Now it's time for me to introduce main power-up with this weapon. Main power-up for the Splatter Shot increases shot accuracy when you're jumping while shooting, and increases shot accuracy when you're on the ground, making it really good. Jump shot randomization is reduced by about 34%, and on the ground it's about 13%. Making it pretty good. Now on to the gals, starting off with the vanilla. Here I have a different set. Of course, actually, you know what, now. Go away, please. Thank you. Anyway, I just like to run a little bit of main power up with the big 3. Along with the big 3, and I like to run swim speed, because it's really good for it. Plus, Special Saber and Charge will give me Ballers, Stingrays, and Booyah Bombs more often. Of course, it's not as much. About 24% for jump shots, and about 10% for on the ground. I think all of the 52 gals, for me, I like to use the same set. Except this one costs 190, so I can reduce it to 176. Oh yeah, one more thing. This still costs 170 today, so I can reduce it to 158. This costs 190, so I can reduce it to 176, below 180. And this thing no longer costs 180. It costs 190 now. To 176. Anyway, now we're on to the next weapon, which is the N-Zaps, another one of my favorites, and I used to main this for a time. Here, I have a different set. And I usually like to run Object Shredder on N-Zap. It's just really good for it. Now, Object Shredder increases damage to all non-player targets except for Brellas, which I actually know the reason why. It's actually part of the main weapon, not an object, so that's why. But it does increase damage to Ink Armor, Ballers, Bubble Blower, and Booyah Bomb Armor, just to name a few. Each with different multipliers. I think Booyah Bomb has around a 5% increase to Booyah Bomb. Baller gets a 30% increase. And Ink Armor does like 3 times more damage if you have Object Shredder. Anyway, now for the 89. I could go double Auto Bomb, which actually I can do on this set. But this is another set I like to run. In addition, I could go with this as well. Now, to throw 2 Auto Bombs on a full Ink Tank, you need 1 main and 1 sub of Ink Saber sub to throw 2. Or an alternative, I could even go with Last Ditch Effort. I could even go with Last Ditch Effort if I want to. Because I just realized I can go with that combo. Go with that combo. Anyway, now for the 83, which no longer costs 180, it costs 170. Of course, back to the 3 subs of 3 subs of special charge. And of course, the rest is still the same. Well, it costs 170, so how much am I going to reduce this by again? I can reduce it to 147, below 150, which is really good. Now, Splatter Shot Pro. Here's the set where you really need main power up. In version 5.5 of Splatoon 2, you need 3 mains and 4 subs of main power up to do 49.9 damage. I think this is the set that I run. This will allow me to go up to 49.9 damage. Yeah. Which makes a 2-shot KO pretty possible. Oh my god, I cannot speak English today. I apologize. Now scroll down, you. There we go. Now the Forge Pro, which is, it's alright, but it's just outclassed by the Foil Squeezer because the Squeezer got more and more buffs over time. But this is still pretty nice. Now for this one, I like to run 2 options. I could either go last ditch efforts or I could spam more bombs. Sorry, last ditch effort, or I could spam more specials. Usually I prefer last ditch effort. Because more bombs is really good. Now, I can't run main power up here. Mainly because main power up is not really good on the Forge. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really need it anyway. At least for this one, because I focus more on bubbles. Oh yeah, it no longer costs 200, it costs 190. And of course, last ditch effort is really good. Dang, I'm gonna increase it to just above 50. 50. Really good for spamming bombs. Full ink tank. Anyway, now onto one of the best weapons in the entire game, K Pro, which no longer costs 200 points. It costs 210 where it is today. And of course, I go back to main power up. Back to main power up. Where is it? Here we go. Special saver right here. Now, I could run a swim speed set, but this is what I prefer. Mainly because it doesn't get a special often. I just want to give it more often, you know? Anyway. Now that the K Pro is done, now we're moving on to the 96. Starting off with the vanilla, which is probably the better one of the 2. Oh yeah, I forgot to say something. I think the best Splash-O-Matic is probably the Neo. Well, the better Aerospray is probably the PG. And I think the best one is either the Tenatech or a K-Shot. The best gal is K52, obviously. Best NZAB is the 85 variant. And I think the best Pro is the K variant. And now on to the best 96, which is the vanilla. Here, I like to run a set called Special Spam and Main Power Up. One main and 3 subs is really good, because I increase the damage to just over 70 damage. If they say someone takes an indirect hit with a bomb, then that's enough for the 96 to one-shot. For the Deco, which is probably the worst one of the 2, I usually like to run swim speed. Speed. Other than that, not much has changed. Now onto the V-Jet. Here, I have a set called Missile Spam and Main Power Up. Same set as the 96. Now, bullet velocity gets about a 3% increase, but ground shot randomization is about a 19% increase. Makes it even more accurate. Now, the C-Jet no longer costs 180, it costs 190. But this is still really good regardless. Not much has changed here. Now we're on to semi-automatics, which, to be fair, I like to count them as shooters as well. Now onto the vanilla L3. This thing got a lot of changes in the 5.0s. It no longer costs 170, it costs 220. That's a 50-point increase from what it was there. But here, I like to run speed and swim speed and main power up. Now, if it were below 5.1, 1 main and 3 subs is perfect for this, but it doesn't work anymore. So therefore, I go with a little bit of main power up. Therefore, I go with a little bit of main power up. It's 2 mains and 2 subs, which is still good. For the L3D, I think for the L3D, I use main power up and drop roller. I don't use it much anymore. I think it's ink resist and special saver. Here, I think it's special saver here as well. And this one I know I run. I think it's drop roller with quick super jump. Yeah, the big 3 is here. Yeah, I think this is about accurate. I could be wrong, though. Also, this thing costs 200, not 180. For the KL3, I go back to normal. Go back to my run speed and swim speed, she said. And of course, I go with a little bit of main power up once again. And back here with 2 mains and 2 subs, which is perfect. This thing still costs 180 to this day. For the vanilla H3, you need 3 mains and 4 subs and main power up. No, wait, I miscalculated. I meant to have an extra swim speed. Oh well. It's the same set as a vanilla L3 anyway. Again, this is the same set. H3D, which still costs 220, and the Cherry H3, which now costs 180, which is what it should have been all along. This time I don't run main power up. Instead, I focus more on special. Actually, do I want to? I mean, Object Shredder is not really good on this, because it still takes like, what, 2 or 3 hits to break the bubbles of burst mode, which is really slow. So I'll probably just leave main power up on at this point. But I could run both just to be safe. Also, Elastic Shepherd is not good on this. You know what? I have 2 sets for this. Never mind. 2 sets. Elastic Shepherd is not good because it has Splash Wall as a sub. It costs 180. So what does that reduce it to again? I can't remember. Reduce it to below 170. Alright. Usually go with special power up for bubbles. And then I like to go with Object Shredder with the big 3. So goodbye, special saver. Perfect. Now on to the Squeezer. The vanilla Squeezer is probably the worst semi-automatic in the game. And I think the best L3 is the L3D. And the better H3 is the H3D. But I think the worst L3 might be the Kinsey. The better jet is the custom jet. And the worst H3 is probably the vanilla. And then the worst of the Squeezer is the vanilla one. Here, I have my own set. Again. Now, for this one, I don't really know what to run. Main power up is not really good on Squeezer, mainly because you don't really need it. So instead, because it's pretty ink hungry, I go with Ink Saver main instead. This is to 156. Now time for Foil Squeezer, which is one of the best weapons in the entire game. Anyway. Next up is, yeah, Foil Squeezer. Alright. Here, Last Ditch Ever returns. It now costs 200. It costs 200 now. Instead of 180. Now, Object Shredder with the big 3. There we go. Also, I need to find something that costs 200. In this case, I can reduce it. Oh yeah, I'm not running special charge, so what's the point? Yep, special power increases the bubble's radius by about 18%. By almost 19%, actually. Of course, more Splat Bombs is really good. Well, that's the end of shooters. Tune in for the next part where I cover blasters. See you then.